Hi, I'm Rachel Lancaster, and this is the Magnificent Midlife Podcast. This is where we celebrate women in midlife and beyond. We challenge the status quo and bash those negative stereotypes about being an older woman. We're not over the hill at 40, 50, 60. We're just getting started, and the world needs us now more than ever. I'll be talking all things midlife and sharing some fabulous stories of amazing women doing very cool stuff. Now's our time. I'm delighted to introduce you today to Lisa Swanson, who is a health coach, a trainer, and a nutritionist. And there aren't many people who are all three of those things. And I've worked with Lisa on a couple of things in the past, and she has done a wonderful workshop in my members club for me, all about weight loss and exercise and how we can stay healthy. And she's particularly focusing on older women, which is exactly right for what we're talking about. So welcome, Lisa. It's lovely to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here with you.
So first off, I want to ask you, what is your mission?
Well, I think I would have to say my mission is twofold. There are two different things. Professionally speaking, it's wanting to teach women the truth about weight loss and how to be their own nutritionist, how to be their own health advocate, because there's so much misinformation out there. The diet industry drives me crazy because there's so much misinformation and people keep dieting, thinking that they're going to find something that works, but they're not, because they have to learn how to do this themselves. So I want to teach women the truth so they can stop struggling, being frustrated, because once you have your health and that energy and your eating balance, you're invincible. You can do almost anything. The underlying part of my mission is honestly to help save abused and neglected animals. So as my business grows, I want more and more of my proceeds are going to go to helping. I'm already connected with one nonprofit organization. My dogs have all been adopted from Aruba, so I'm helping to try to save the dogs from Aruba that are walking the streets and living a horrible life.
That's fantastic. That's really lovely. So your business allows you to do your real passion, your real mission. It's brilliant.
Yeah. There's so many dogs over there suffering. And I used to foster dogs all the time. So every 3 weeks I was at the airport picking up a couple of dogs to foster and help find homes for. And they were little puppies. And of course they're adorable and they're so hard to say goodbye to. But I now have 3 dogs. Uh-huh. So my husband's like, I think we ought to stop fostering because we can't adopt any more of them. But I do help them in other ways, help with their website. I help answer questions, help screen people, do home visits and things like that.
Well, good for you. Excellent. So apart from, obviously you're passionate about dogs, about saving the dogs, but why are you so passionate about what you're doing sort of from a fitness perspective with women, and why particularly older women? I think it's mainly women over 50 that you work with, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So why have you chosen that age group?
Well, I think it stems from my own experiences of just, as you get older and you realize you need to take care of yourself. And not that I haven't, because I've been in this business taking care of myself. But when I owned my studios, I had 3 studios at one time. And women would come in, and most of the time when working with that many studios, I had a lot of trainers that worked for me, and I trained my trainers how to coach, how to work with the clientele. But the women would be like, your trainers, I know they know what they're doing, but I feel like I need somebody who understands what I'm going through as a woman in my 40s, in my 50s, in my 60s. They don't get it. And I feel like I'm talking to my kids, so I saw that need, and also the need of, I was just a personal trainer at that point. And then I got certified as a nutritionist because I knew that they needed more nutrition. And then as I was doing this, I'm like, these women need work on their mindset. It's not just the fitness and the nutrition. They need to work on their limiting beliefs. They need to work on their stress management. They need to work on how to sleep better, how to turn off the world. They need to learn how to love themselves, because that's really where it starts. So I was involved in a franchise, so I only had so much wiggle room with that. And I knew I wanted to encompass everything. I wanted to get that. So that's what led me to Body and Soul Coaching when I founded that, and I just started developing the program. to encompass all of it. And just seeing these women finally just be like, oh my God, I get it. They're these, how can I put it? A lot of the women I work with, it's not just women over 50. It's women who, they're professionals. They have great careers. They, have a good family life. They're not struggling financially. It's none of that. It's like they're very successful. But there's this one area that's like, why can't I do that? And they feel like a failure. And it's like, but you're not a failure. You just need the right information. And then to see them transform and see that light bulb go off and be like, oh, I get it. That's probably why I want to work with this age group. It's our time now.
I definitely agree with you on that one. But I think it's really interesting, isn't it? Because in midlife, as you say, really competent professional women, and yet there's still so much that we don't know about the basics of looking after ourselves. And there's that classic thing, isn't it, that we do tend to put on weight in midlife and beyond. And I know it's an issue for me. I used to be able to just, skip a couple of meals and I'd be back to where I was and all was fine. And I was never sort of, very skinny, but I was comfortable with where I was. And now I've got a few too many pounds hanging around. I'm thinking, how am I going to get rid of these? So, but the basics about metabolism and things, the lack of knowledge is quite incredible, isn't it?
Right. I think people overthink it when they get to this age. And it's like, oh, I'm older, I'm midlife, and they start to accept it and say, well, this is what happens when I get older. I just have to accept it. But inside they're unhappy with it. They're like, they look in the mirror do you feel the same way? You look in the mirror and you're like, oh, that's not me. That's not what I look like. But then you think, but I'm in my 50s. Maybe this is just the way it has to be, and I'll just cover up and wear long, loose tops and with skinny jeans, and I'll be fine, right? It's you don't have to accept it. It's just it's unnecessary.
So just how, and when you've got the information that you need, how easy or difficult is it to maintain your weight as you get older?
It's actually quite easy. It's honestly quite easy because, like I said, people overthink it and they overcomplicate it. And so a couple of things people think about, it's like, okay, well, I'm gaining weight because I'm older, because my metabolism slowed down, and my hormones have changed. And that's part of it. Obviously, things slow down. We can't stop the aging process. Our cells turn over at a slower rate. That's just a fact. Okay, well, what they don't realize is that it's not just their hormones and the aging, it's what have they been doing up until this point? What have they been doing for the past 10, 20, 30 years that has caught up with them that they can't do this? They've been following diets, right? Like you had just said, I can skip a meal and lose some weight, right? I just don't have to eat very much and I'll lose weight. Well, as we get older, we lose a half a pound of lean tissue every year. That's our metabolically active tissue. So all these years of going on crash diets, you're not just losing body fat, you're losing muscle along with it. And if you're not lifting weight, you're losing even more muscle. So you've gone on these crazy diets, which is wreaking havoc with your metabolism because you're losing muscle, and you haven't exercised properly. So that's a big part of it. And not getting the right nutrition in. Thinking maybe you're getting the right nutrition in, but skipping meals doesn't help you lose weight long term. That's a very temporary fix. Mm-hmm. So it's really these things that they've been building up to that when they get to 50, it's like, whoa, what the heck happened? Why is this happening to me? Oh, I turned 50. Must be my hormones. Only part of the story.
Yeah, and menopause and hormonal changes gets a real bad rap, doesn't it? Because as you say, it's how we've looked after ourselves. I've talked with another guest on here about how midlife and menopause is kind of like nature's wake-up call. It's like, okay, you've been doing this, you've been doing that, and abusing your body, and now, if you want to be healthy long-term, you've got to start changing things up.
Exactly. That is so true. And unfortunately, they then go towards, well, then what diet do I go on? It goes back to that diet. Stop looking for diets, women. Stop diets.
I've never done diets, actually. I just literally, it was skipping meals. And that was all I did. I've literally, I think, actually, I tell a lie. A couple of times I did do the cabbage soup diet. But that's probably a couple of times in my entire life. I've never been a dieter. I
Right.
prefer to sort of just eat what I like more or less and do plenty of exercise, but that's no longer enough.
No, but actually, you're on the right track. You're definitely on the right track. You should be, if you can listen to your body, right? And as we get older, we should like turn in a little bit, listen to our bodies and realize okay, well, yeah, I want to eat something now. What do I feel like eating? Try to figure out, what's my body craving? Is it craving protein right now? Is it craving some carbohydrates? Does it need some fat? It's hard to tune into that if you've been out of that for so long, but so you're on the right track in that, well, I just like to eat what I want, basically. And that's what you have to do. Now you just have to learn, well, what is a balanced meal? So that I make sure I'm getting enough of each of the right macronutrients so that I can build muscle and stay lean and stay healthy into my 90s, right?
And it's that, it's the weight-bearing exercise that really helps, doesn't it? I think. Is that right? That's the part of the puzzle that most women don't have.
I agree and disagree. So weight bearing means things like walking or holding, carrying your own weight. But it's also weightlifting.
I meant weightlifting then.
Oh, okay. So weightlifting is definitely what people are missing. And they don't even get weightlifting. Because when I work with my clients, my one-on-one clients, my clients in my groups, and I'll say, okay, I want you to work to muscle failure. And they'll say, they think they are, but they don't even understand what muscle failure is. In order to make your muscles change, you have to lift weight heavy enough so that you can cause that change. And that means that if I'm doing bicep curls, I'm not going, okay, I got to 15, I'm done. It means get that weight heavy enough so when you're doing 15, you're like, I can't finish it. Then you've reached muscle failure.
That's interesting.
Right, is a big, big difference. So a lot of times if I've worked with somebody and they haven't seen me in person and I take them through and I say, okay, do another rep, do another rep, do another rep, until I finally get them to failure. I say, now you reach failure. They're like, oh my God, nobody ever taught me that. I had no idea what muscle failure was. Then you see changes and you don't get bulky. You don't get bulky. No, doesn't happen.
Tell me a little bit about your own personal journey to getting to fitness. Why did you go down the fitness route? What drew you to this?
Oh my goodness. It took me a while to get here. I did so many different things. And then I had a brother who was quite physical, and he played a lot of soccer and he ran quite a bit, and the muscles looked great on him. I was like, why don't I have muscles like that? It sounds so superficial. I was like, why don't I have muscles like that? That looks great. And I got involved in exercise and said, oh my God, this is great. And it kept me moving because I swear to God, back then there was no such thing as ADD or ADHD, but I think if there had been, I would have been diagnosed with that. I had a very hard time sitting in school all the time. I did not want to stay there. I fidgeted. I didn't want to listen. Did well, but it was just like, get me out of here. I don't want to go to college and sit down again. Then I found that the movement made me feel better. And I started learning about it, and I was fascinated. I said, oh my God, we have so much control over our bodies with nutrition. I just really found it fascinating. So that led me down that road. And the company that I was with actually had like this whole 1-month training program before you could train with them. And it was at the very, very beginning of the whole fitness craze. It was very new. People told me I was crazy for going into it. It's like, you're not going to make a living doing that. What are you going to something else? It's like, but I love this. And I just worked my way up through doing, being an instructor. And then they didn't have personal trainers back then. I did instructing. I did sales. I was assistant manager, worked up to manager. And then I left for a while, and I had 2 kids, and I stayed home full time to take care of my children. Then I started getting anxiety, a lot of anxiety. It just came out of nowhere. I had no clue what the heck it was. It scared me. I was like, what is this feeling? I feel like I'm going to die, and I need to rush the heck out of this room. And I think it happened in work the first time, and I had no clue what the heck it was. I'm like, I must be deficient in a vitamin. I literally was going and looking for multivitamins. I'm like, what could I be missing? But and I couldn't figure it out. And over the years, I did end up getting some help with that. But I found an awesome doctor who said, these medications do help, but nothing helps as much as proper nutrition and exercise. So that's when I started working with that and alleviating my own anxiety and panic. And which just made me hold on to it even more, because it was like, wow, this is so powerful. This can change people's lives.
And especially, I think, in midlife, anxiety is a big issue for a lot of women. I know certainly in my community, there's a lot of women who talk about feeling anxious and not knowing, like you said, where it's come from. Why is this happening? And yet, we have this quite easy thing, easily available exercise that can help us transform that. And I think with our sedentary lifestyles today, we just lose track of these simple things, don't we?
I know. Think about how sedentary we are. It's like, it's so bad for us. And if you're sitting all the time, and we're meant to move, we're meant to use our energy, as I always think about, so where is that energy going? It's somewhere in us, right? And that's probably part of, I'm not going to say all of it, because there are genetics happening, there's things going on, but that energy's in here somewhere, probably bouncing around, like, hey, let me out. What are you doing? I was here all this time. There's a lot to it.
So if you could give one piece of advice to a woman in midlife and beyond who's struggling, putting on weight, really being unable to shift it, and they're just feeling not really great about themselves, what would that one bit of advice be?
The one bit of advice. Oh, there's so many, right?
All right, you can have a few then.
I would say, number one, first, you got to start with, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be healthier? And you got to come down. It can't just be, I feel like crap. It's got to be deeper. Like for me, I could say, just for instance, ask somebody, okay, why do you want to lose weight? Well, I feel terrible. I don't have very much energy. And it's like, all right, well, why do you want more energy? Well, I want to enjoy life. Why do you want to enjoy life? Because I've been working all my life and I want time to enjoy it now and reap the benefits of everything that I've created in my life. And it's like, okay, well, why do you want to do that? And it's like, well, I want to be happy and I want to be strong while I'm doing that. And I can't do that if I'm not fit and strong. I won't be able to carry these things out. So you see, it starts getting deeper and deeper every time they ask why.
Yeah.
So I'd say, first, just take some time and just ask yourself why you want to do this. And until you come up with an answer that really resonates with you. Mine came down to, I don't want to be in a nursing home when I'm in my 80s or 90s. I want to take care of me. The thought of being in a nursing home and somebody else taking care of me is like, no, I don't want to go there. So I really need to stay healthy. So I take care of me. And it's going to be different for everybody. So I'd say, number one, ask yourself why. And number two, I'm going to give you a number two. If you really want to do this, stop dieting and start learning of the lifestyle that fits you.
And how do they do that?
I would say, start tracking your food, start tracking your activity, so that you can see for sure where you're at. Because you may think that you eat correctly, but if you start tracking it, I guarantee you're going to find some things you're going to, oh, I didn't realize that I had cookies every other day. Or I didn't realize, I thought I was going to the gym 5 times a week, but hey, I only was going 2 this week and 3 this week. And, so you're going to start seeing patterns and behaviors that are not in alignment with what your goal is. So start tracking, and then you're going to start learning a lot about yourself.
I already know I have a major chocolate addiction. Writing it down isn't going to make me feel any better.
Might make you think about it twice.
I know.
But okay, so then you find it. All right, I've got a chocolate addiction. Now at least there's an awareness, and what am I going to do about it? I love chocolate too. I love chocolate. And so I like to have something sweet at the end of each meal. I love that. A lot of people, it's like, you have a sweet tooth? I have an unbelievable sweet tooth. I would sweeten everything if I could. So at the end of each meal, I am craving something sweet. So it might just be a little teeny piece of chocolate, and that will do it for me. Or a nice sweet and spicy tea, or something like that. But because if I don't, I'll keep looking for it until I find it. So I don't try to avoid it. It's like, okay, what can I do that'll just get rid of it?
Oh, I'm glad
and
it's not just me. I have a terrible...
It's not just you.
What do you like about this time of life?
Oh, that's a good question. What do I like about this time of life? So being in my, I think we know ourselves so much better. Yeah, I like that we know ourselves a lot better, and there's a different air about us where we're not so worried anymore about what people think, like you do when you're younger. Like in your 20s, there's a lot of worry in your 20s and your 30s. 40s, you're starting to come into your own. 40s are good. But in your 50s, it's like you've done so much already. It's like you can really be yourself. Yeah, I think that's what I like. I think it's really been for myself in this journey. I've learned to be myself, not worry too much about what other people are thinking, not being afraid to ask for help if I need help. I think that's a big one. Women don't know how to ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
And what do you dislike?
Oh, what do I dislike? There's a good one. I can't think of what I dislike. It'd be nice if I knew all of this when I was 20.
Well, I was going to say that would be my next question was, what would you tell your 20 or 30-year-old self if you could talk to them now?
Stop working so hard. I worked way too hard, way too many long hours, and stop wearing that like it's a badge. There was a period of time for at least a few years where I probably slept between 2 and 4 hours a night.
Ooh,
and that was
and girl, that is not good for you.
No kidding, right? It was horrible, but it was like you wore it like a badge. Hey, I stay up really late and I get all my work done. I sleep 2 hours and I get up and I do my cardio and I go to work and I run 3 studios by myself. It's like, oh, look at me. And it's like, oh my God. But you know what? I missed out on a lot of things with my girls because they were in high school. So, and kids need you when they're in high school. They need you just as much, if not more, than when they're little. So I regret that. So I would say, yeah, back in your 30s, 40s, whatever, stop working so hard. Learn balance and spend time with your family. You have to have time off. You have to.
And what brings you joy?
Oh, what brings me joy? Well, obviously working, my family number one. Saving animals brings me a great deal of joy. I like bringing people together. I find the period of time that we're in right now where there's so much anger going around the world and so many people arguing over politics and this separation, that's very upsetting to me. As a matter of fact, I have to turn it off because I can feel my anxiety building with that. But bringing people together. So I like my house. I have a fairly large house. So I get to be the one to host the family gatherings. And like that to me is very joy. I love to be the host. I want to bring everybody here, make everybody happy. So that brings me joy.
I feel the same about all the anger in the world. I begin to not really recognize the world anymore. It's kind of, and then I think, oh gosh, is that because I'm getting older? Am I turning into an older person who doesn't recognize, the world around them? And I think, well, no, actually, that's not the case. It's that the world is a mess at the moment.
It is. It's a crazy mess. I don't know if you follow politics in the U.S.
I do.
Yeah, it is crazy. And there's this one woman, actually, I haven't heard a lot from her, who's running on the Democratic side, Marianne Williamson. And I was listening to her speech. And she's a motivational speaker. And she's all about we need to shift the energy. It's a very, very different talk. And I'm like, ooh, this woman is really interesting. Yeah. Will she make it? I have no idea. The world might not be ready for her. But very interesting talk where she could actually bring a great conversation into the world of politics. It's very interesting. But yeah, there's just too much anger out there. And it's like, whatever happened to talking about the issues? All is hatred out there and people arguing with each other. It's awful.
That's why we need more women in positions of power. But
yes.
Not women pretending to be men or being masculine
exactly
because they're in positions of power, but actually using the power that we as women have.
Right. We need to have that yin energy, right?
Absolutely.
There's too much yang out there. It's like we got to balance this.
Yin energy. Yes, I like that.
Yes. More yin.
I know. And more of us older women as well, who know a bit about the world and have some wisdom and experience to share. And are a bit calmer, I think, also post-menopause. I certainly feel I am than I was before.
Right. Yeah, there's not all that,
Yeah.
sit and ponder. Yeah.
So it's funny, my next question was going to be, what makes you angry? Because we're talking about anger in the world. Is it?
Oh, there you go. There you go. The anger in the world. That makes me angry. You know what's something else? As we're talking about this, and we're thinking about women, and we're in our 50s, and we're handling things better. And I wonder sometimes what happened to the feminist movement? Because I grew up in a time where women really were like, hey, I'm woman, I am strong, right? All of that. And it was about equal pay and equal rights. And it's like, first, I can't believe we still have to fight for that. It's ridiculous. But, and these girls were dressing provocatively. They were being like not treated very, very well by boys. And it was like, what is going on here with this younger generation? Do they not get that they're like undoing everything that we've been fighting for? They really didn't get it. I saw it a lot in, not that my girls were accepting it, but just even in lyrics of songs. I remember this distinctly one time. My daughter was listening to this song, and the words in it were horrible, and they were like, it was very, very disrespectful to women. And I was like, why are you listening to this? And she just said, oh, Mom, it's a good song. I said, no, it's not. Listen to the lyrics. And she said, oh, they don't mean it. I said, yes, they do. They wrote it. They wrote it. They mean it. And so my husband and I, the next day she came home from school, and we had the lyrics printed out. And we sat down, we handed it to her, and we said, read this to us. And she looked at it, and she was like, you want me to read this out loud? She couldn't read it to us out loud in front of her parents. It's like, that should tell you something right there.
That is so powerful, Lisa. That's such a powerful thing that you did. Because, yeah, I should do the same with my son, because we share a Spotify account. And I love it because he introduces me to all sorts of new music. But a lot of it is pretty hard-hitting, some of it a bit misogynistic. And maybe I should do the same thing. I should print these out and say, right, yeah, next time I see him, because he's away. I love that idea, because, yeah, when it's written down and then you have to say it, how powerful. That right. Very powerful.
Yeah, it was powerful. It was very powerful. It really made her sit back, and the look on her face was great, because her face just was like, I have to read this out loud.
And yet she'd been listening to it and saying it was a good song, and there was no problem with it. So what does your morning routine look like? Is there anything special that you do every morning to make sure that you're all set up for the day?
Yes, I believe a lot in morning routines, because my day does not start out right if I don't have my morning routine. So first off, my morning routine starts the night before. I have to make sure that my house is clean and my coffee is ready to go off at 5:30. So when I wake up, it's already brewed.
5:30. Oh my goodness.
I like to get up before the dogs, so I have time to be quiet. I need that quiet time.
Yeah.
So I go downstairs. I actually have this is great. I'm an empty nester too. So as soon as my girls moved out, I redid their rooms. One is now my dressing room. And the other one is my quiet room. And I love it. It's very peaceful. Mm-hmm. And so I start my day off in there. So I go down and get my coffee, decaf, and I sit down and I put my headphones on and I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. And then after I meditate, I sit and go over my affirmations and visualize. Then I write, because now I'm in the right mindset. Now I'm ready to journal, and I'll journal until it feels like I had enough, usually about 1, maybe 2 pages of writing. Once that's all done, I get my workout in, my cardio, just cardio in the morning, which should be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what type of cardio I'm doing. And then it's to the shower, and then the dogs are up.
Wow, that is very organized first thing in the morning.
Yes. Oh my God, the day goes by so well when you can take that time to meditate and just be quiet.
Yeah.
It's the day, you just have such a better focus throughout the day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Magnificent Midlife podcast. You can find out more about Lisa on her website, bodyandsoulcoaching.com. She also has a great free group on Facebook called Weight Loss After 50. You can get links to those and the show notes at magnificentmidlife.com/podcast. If you like this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you're listening, and share this with your friends too. If you'd like to take your own midlife up a notch, why not join our members club? It's where you'll get the strategies, support and connection you need to live the very best next phase of life. Help me change the world, one magnificent midlife woman at a time.